Hello, audience. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to session number 4, this time on Saturday evening talks. There has been tremendous interest, as we noticed in the attendance since last 4 weeks. We are on week 4 today, and very humbly, I would like to thank all of you for being part of these sessions. We've crossed 1,200 participant limit over last 1 month. Who have attended the session either live or have seen the recordings on the YouTube. The response has been fantastic. A very big thanks to you, thanks to all of you. A special message, guys, a note, or I should say rules of the game to all of you. Just 3 points here. First is the session could go up to 75 to 80 minutes. So please remain live with us. And I request all of you guys to remain on mute mode and no video, please. 6 poll questions shall come during for those who have logged in on Zoom. So all the participants who are on Zoom will be requested to please give your comments or or select the options that will be displayed on your screens. Just 3 rules. I repeat, it will go on for 75 to 80 minutes. Remain with us. Keep yourself on mute and no video mode, please. 6 poll questions will come. You're expected to come on Zoom. You're expected to respond on Zoom. Okay, so here we go. We are beginning the session now live. So we are on hot topic today. We are on part 2 on 2-part series of USA. Yes, that's 3-letter word, USA. Today's topic is USA as a career destination post-pandemic. The challenge amidst the opportunities. But this time, as you notice, the focus shall be on careers, jobs, and anything that is connected with making money there. The focus, as I said, will be on jobs and careers in the US and what we feel or the world is feeling to be possible effects, or you should say foreseen effects in the next few months and the years to come, considering the pandemic situation that is all around and all the talks which have been around for this new word COVID-19. Or what exactly do you feel, or you feel does the USA, which is a global economic powerhouse as it is believed to be, stands insulated from the problems of the world? Well, let's scan through this session and we'll know what anybody should do. We understand jobs worldwide have had their impacts due to COVID disease. The pandemic has killed many professions, at least for the time being, but thrilled many professions too, I should say, in some way or the other. I repeat, thrilled many professions. What should be your outlook really, especially if USA is in your mind? I should say USA does deserve a special discussion today. It's a special mention today, a discussion for those who have kept this country as a study or a career destination goal. USA has been on spotlight these days mainly for COVID reasons, and that includes jobs, visas, and anything directly or indirectly connected with that. So we'll discuss today exactly what's the best way forward if USA is on your radar. So audience, please have your questions ready. We'll take all your points besides what we already have with us in the bucket. We already have a bucket full of many questions that will go live with our lead panelist today, Dr. Ravi Srinivas, who will come shortly live from Houston in US to share his views on job scenario and plans in the pandemic scenario. A repeat message to all audience on Zoom shall be shown 6 questions one by one at different points of time. You are expected to respond to these within the given time frame from 10 seconds to 30 seconds only. Repeat, 10 seconds to 30 seconds only, not much time. The questions are too small for you guys to respond just on a very short time like this. All right, over to the admin. The first poll question appears, 2 questions, 15 seconds to you. Here it goes. I repeat the question for those who are not on Zoom. Did you attend last Saturday's session, which was on USA as a study destination? Yes or no? People on Facebook or other places can just say yes or no. And number 2, are you really worried about pandemic effects on job prospects? Will it affect you or not? 15 seconds. Go ahead, mark something. I repeat, did you attend last Saturday's session, which was on USA as a study destination? And are you really worried about pandemic effects on job prospects in the country of USA? 15 seconds, you have been marked. Please mark yourself. I request admin not to display any results right now. That will come later. But if 15 seconds goes over, please remove the poll screen from the poll questions from the screen. All right, 15 seconds goes over. So here we are, I will now request Dr. Ravi to come live for all of you, for all of us. Dr. Ravi, please put on your videos and come live. Thank you and good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to everybody. Welcome, everybody. We have another
Welcome.
chance today to continue our discussions.
Yes, we had a brilliant session last time. It was really insightful as we saw. Everybody appreciated that. Welcome to this session, sir. Once again, thank you for taking this session live early morning for our audience. Audience, Dr. Ravi guided us, our students in the previous session, and for those who could not attend the previous session, we will share the YouTube link for all of you on the chat box, both on Facebook and Zoom-wise. It'll come to you on the mail also. Please have a look at it. You will gain insights about how you as a student should look at USA as a country goal for study purpose. Dr. Ravi, hope you're doing good, and we hope things have been clearer and better over last 1 week.
Oh, yes, I just lost my video. It just dropped, my camera dropped a bit, but here back I am. Oh, there we go again. And thanks again. I'm glad to be here for this second week. So good news in many ways coming from all directions, except for COVID situation. We'll address this as we go along.
Yeah, sure.
So, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, I'm glad to answer any questions you have that you think are useful to the audience.
Many questions out there, sir. Both students and many other people who have crossed their studentship actually have given us questions over last 1 week. We've accumulated all of them for you, and we'll be loaded with some of them that we find them critical during this session. The most critical.
Sounds good to me.
All right, sir. The most critical thing, there's been some news on the political front, as we notice in the US. And the most critical thing and the development that we saw, withdrawal and rollback of Trump administration decision to suspend student visas. What do you say, sir?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that, we take a look at the poll results when we have them. I'm glad that there are so many who attended last week that will be joining us. On the news front, there are really two different things. The first one is an important news coming from the Trump administration following last week's rather very sad news. And here is the update. And the update is that current students, international students in the US, can stay in the country even if they are taking all of their courses online. And this is an important development that we need to take into consideration. And the second thing is that nobody needs new I-20s to be issued for them for the fall classes. So this is good news. On the COVID situation, I do have concerns like many of you, or maybe even all of you. You see, we don't know when the situation is going to be resolved. So, here's a two-part problem. So the first part problem is a public health problem. So we don't know when we can control the COVID situation and when we have really good solutions in place. And the second part of the problem is, what are some of the long-term impacts, if any? We'll get to talk about it. But for now, I'll say is that, like you, I am very hopeful about improvements in the short term.
Sure. For just to keep everybody updated, we had concerns coming up from people and all over the newspapers that students could be debarred or their visas suspended for a long time if the university is online. But that rule has been withdrawn. It has been rolled back and under consideration or under request, or I should say under protest from many universities and many states. So that's a true power of democracy in the land of US. That's what USA is all about. But before we really start, guys, all the audience, let me give you a short background about Dr. Ravi. His CV and his achievement is huge, but I should say I'll summarize it for you quickly. He is a PhD from State University of New York, MS from Baylor University, US, and a science graduate from Bangalore University. So he's got roots in India. He is higher education and international education expert, comes with 2.5 decades, that's 25 years of extensive leadership experience in many disciplines connected with education, international education, and related fields. He's involved in teaching, higher education administration, program management, high impact education practices, recruitment, admissions, domestic and international outreach, partnership building, student services management, and so much more. That's a huge, long list of achievements and affairs. Congratulations to you, sir. By the way, he's also an independent consultant in the field of international education, and he's quite active on leadership development committee and as trainer for leaders at NAFSA. NAFSA, for all you guys, just to give an update, NAFSA is the world's largest association for international educators in the world advocacy. Well, Dr. Ravi's association with such a respectable body, which is NAFSA, self-explains why he is the best person today to address today's session, especially about the current situation.
तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, उठने पे खराब हो गई है।
All right. Going further, there was a poll question to everybody. Did they attend the session last time or not? Whether you did or you did not. I see that there are many new faces that have come today. For the few key takeaways, I should say, that have emerged from the last session, I want to repeat it for everybody. Critical points only. I'm just displaying it for you. Not displaying, I'm mentioning this for you. USA definitely was. The first point is the country as USA was and will always remain an envied country, I should say, for study and career purpose. So if you are double-minded anyhow because of COVID situation, do not confuse yourself. Your focus was right, is right, and will be right. Just be on track, don't worry. Please remain prepared, and you can even get better academic opportunities in the weeks and months to come from one of the US universities that you deserve. Those that are about to start bachelor's program in the US, please go ahead without delay. Without delay, take your online semester. That's what most of the universities have been told to do. So you can do that. Shortly, you will get used to it without compromise. By the way, just for everybody's knowledge, USA education was always focused on self-study. That's why there are huge libraries and online systems and online education systems and self-study notes which are given to everybody, whether in e-learning or online mode. So your education system is always the best prepared to educate you online. So do not worry. If you are going for bachelor's, go ahead, take your online semester without any compromise. But if you are going for master's, please defer your programs to 2021, spring or later. Students, the next and the last point is students with Indian or a similar country with 15-year education format are accepted into the US bachelor's selectively. Take an advice from consultant like TASA Asia, which is us, and you'll be guided the best for your steps. These are a few key takeaways, I should say. That was a brief summary that came out or emerged in the previous session. So keep that in mind. But for the full session, you have to go to YouTube for a full coverage. Go ahead and do that after the session gets over. Over to Dr. Ravi. And admin, I request if you can display the first poll results on screen.
Okay, the poll results are pretty good. We have more people who did not participate last year, last week, who are participating today. This is wonderful. Welcome to the new folks. Please look at the YouTube video, if you want to catch up with what was discussed last week. And, you are all concerned about job prospects in the US given the COVID situation. And as I mentioned, we are too. And there are lots of things that we really need to be keeping in mind when it comes to that. And let's talk about that as we go along. I am at this point in time not really certain if I am on video or not, but nevertheless, you can hear me, and that's good enough. Let's continue, Rajiv.
Okay, so students in general have a final goal to take up a job in US. Everybody knows that. Okay, most of the students do not go just to study and come back. They almost go to never return back. And probably they're right. The final goal is to take up a job in the US. This set of questions which are forthcoming relate to understanding if their thoughts and preparations are on right track. So let's begin with the first question with the myths, I should say, which are very much live in students' mind. The first myth, and the very critical one, I should say, the first one which comes here on my screen is the students have a feeling that their admission to the US college or university was the last struggle point. It has a placement cell or a career cell to help me after my program gets over for a job. They'll take care of my job. Is that really true? Does the university play a strong role in looking for a job for them? How do universities in the US bridge the campus to corporate gap?
Good question, Rajiv. I've been asked this question from many of my own international students, especially the ones that I worked with in the past. So let me try and then explain a couple of things. I'll keep it brief. Most US universities have an office called the Student Career Services Office. Sometimes there is one main office for all students at the university, and sometimes there is an additional one in the colleges or schools, as we call it, like engineering or in business. They're very similar to placement cells that you may have heard of at Indian colleges and universities. But the key thing to keep in mind is that they tend to operate a little bit differently. One of the main differences is that you cannot really expect the career services office to find you a job and put you into the job after graduation. But what do they really do? They provide different services for you. They provide career planning. How do you go about trying to find a job that is related to your field? How do you come up with a resume that fits the requirements? Mock interviews are scheduled to help students navigate the very critical process in finding a job. They provide position advertisements that are available that are sent to them by various companies. And more importantly, in something that placement cells in India do, they bring various campus recruiters to, various company recruiters to campus who really want to hire graduating students. But here is something that you want to keep in mind. The model is one that is of self-service and self-help, where a student has to take on the responsibility for various steps towards getting a job. I would also say that you should not entirely rely on the career office 100% to find a job. So no matter what what you do, I would say that really a lot of planning is required on your part. And there is this question, there is this issue of timing. So admin, if you can get poll set number 2, that would be really good for us to understand what it is that the audience thinks in relation to timing about efforts for job planning and career planning.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Here is a message to the audience and to the admin. We display a next question. Next question actually goes to the audience, for which Dr. Ravi shall play a certain role to explain how it goes. So guys, you have just 10 seconds to respond. I'll repeat the question for you, those who are not on Zoom. A student who is in a 2-year postgraduate program or a master's program can wait for 4th semester to start his job search and career activities. Does he have to go wait for the 4th semester, or does he start earlier? The question is this. 15 seconds, sorry, 10 seconds only. That's done. Okay, fine.
Let's show the results when they're available, but I think what I want to point out is that this timing question is really very important. Very good students who would be excellent employees in the job setting are often find themselves in situations where they have not planned in advance, right? And so even before the answers show up, let me tell you what the answer is. I think I can guess the answer. Well, you really cannot wait until your last semester if you are a master's student to start to plan this process. And I would say that, at this point, I'll say this, I'll change it a little bit later on. First thing is that, in your very first semester, it is never too early to start this process. Figure out what support is available at your university. And the other thing that you need to do is, you need to start networking or increasing your networking activity. The key point really here is that it is never too early to start on your career planning. You cannot leave such an important matter until the very end. It doesn't work out for a whole number of reasons, and we'll get to those as we go into the next questions. Admin, do we have the results?
Yes, well, I think he has it. That was brilliant.
Oh my God! Look at that. 1/3 of you think it's true, and 2/3 think it's false. Please change your thinking. Fourth semester is entirely too late. It is definitely too late, especially in this kind of a job environment. Okay, so that's a good thing to see where you are, and that gives you a benchmark to figure out what you need to do next. Rajiv.
Thank you, admin. That was really brilliant. We could come out with the answers too quickly. Okay, we go ahead to the next question, sir. The students, some of them have a feeling, or I should say a myth once again. I don't need to worry about possible job outcomes during my program. What is the preparation? What is the preparation you feel a student should do during the program?
Okay, the first thing I want to really say is that thinking of job outcomes is a must, right, on part of students. It is really a must. And again, to do this as early as possible. So for example, you can even do quite a bit even before you come to the United States for your studies. You can start doing it, and maybe you should be doing it even when you're selecting universities to apply for admission. It is very easy to find out via the university's website on what support is available for graduates in relation to career planning and career development. Right, so it's not that difficult. I mean, 20 years ago, it was absolutely a black hole. You couldn't find out about that. Okay, so those of you who are in the admissions process and part of the 64% who said, no, I can wait until my fourth semester, well, please start doing this right away. That's really very important. And here's another thing that I would say. I've also said this to students, who are in my classes before. I said that, you start to look at job ads that you think you would be eligible to apply for after completion of your degree. Pay attention to what the job requirements are, what knowledge, what skills are they looking for. Make a list and figure out how you can demonstrate that you have those skills while you're doing your resume. And speaking of resume, my last point, prepare one as soon as possible. It's never too late, because you can really find out what the holes are so that you can come up with a way to fill in the gaps in your resume. You need to gain the knowledge and the skills that are in demand.
And that counts for the technical skills required for the job and the soft skills both.
Absolutely both. And in fact, I would emphasize more on the soft skills.
Including the English comprehension, I should say, even though they might have cleared IELTS in the beginning with good percentages, good band score, even then, we do not want discrimination to happen just for English reasons, right?
One of the things that I mentioned last time was the easiest step in this whole process with establishing yourself in the US is gaining admission and getting an I-20 and then coming to the US to study. And that is only the beginning. There are so many more things that you need to do in order to make sure that you are on a career path that is reflective of your skills and abilities, and those that, that will allow you to be successful in your life.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. We go to the next question for everybody, especially to you, sir. If the students also have a feeling, if I do not get a job immediately after my program gets over, I'll have to leave the US.
That's a good question. Think about it. Most of the students are here in the US studying for a degree, which means that they are on an F1 visa. F1 visa holders have 60 days after the program end date to have to leave the United States. What does that mean? What it means is that if you don't find a job 60 days after graduation, then you have to leave. International students have to keep in mind something, that 60 days is not enough to find a job and complete all of the formalities that are required to accept that job. One of the key points here is that, there is this OPT, optional practical training, that you can avail of after you graduate, right? And this is a two-part approval. Your university approves, and then the government approves. USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, has to approve your OPT. And these approvals can take 3 or more months. So very clearly, 3 months it is 90 days, which is beyond the 60-day requirement. And you cannot work without getting this authorization. So, you have time, but you don't have a whole lot of time. That's my main point.
So they need to hurry up and probably do some precursor, or I should say pre-preparation to looking for a job and adding to their skills before they complete the program, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, the next question goes to the audience. So I'll request admin to please take care, put the poll set number 3 on screen. Guys, you have 10 seconds only. For those who are not on Zoom, I'll repeat the question for you. Employers will give weightage to my experience as an intern, taken anytime before or during my program. I repeat, employers will give weight to my experience as an intern. So the internship is relevance, basically. This is what the question is trying to say. Taken anytime before or during the program. 10 seconds only, guys, please respond. All right, sir, the time is up. The question is off, but the question goes to you, sir. I don't know what the poll results are, but Dr. Ravi, what will be your views to this answer? How will
I think I can estimate, I can anticipate what the answers would be. More would say yes for internships. I would be shocked if more say, internships are not really that important. My advice to you is that, you must do an internship as part of your degree requirements in the US. Pay attention to what I just said. Do an internship as part of your degree requirements in the US. This is possible. This is possible through something known as CPT. You may have heard of this before. This really stands for Curricular Practical Training. Once you complete 2 semesters of full-time education in the US, you are eligible for curricular practical training as long as your internship is related to the degree that you're pursuing, to the course of study that you're pursuing. Your academic advisor or your department will have to write a letter saying that, yes, this is related to your degree. And the approval time is very minimal because all the approvals will happen in the university itself, right? And so once you get to your university, you find out what is the process for CPT approval. And then you complete an internship and then try to get academic credit for it. Meaning to say that you're registered for a course, 1 unit or 3 units, 1 unit or 3 credits, whatever is allowed for you. And the really important thing is that this will be part of your transcript, which is very important because once you go in for jobs, that would be good. One last thing on the internships is that for CPT, do it on a part-time basis, no more than 20 hours a week, because remember, you'll be taking other classes as well in the semester, maybe 2 or maybe even 3. Rajiv.
And for this, Dr. Ravi, they don't need any extra visas. The current visas are taken care.
You are going to be doing your CPT under your F1 visa.
Under your F1 visa, you don't need any extra visas for this. You can take. No. You can get paid too for this, right?
Absolutely, you can get paid too, and this is a good way to supplement your income. But no amount of income can substitute for the experience that you're going to get.
That's right. That's right.
That's important.
That's right. Oh, I think the admin is taking a little extra time to develop the poll results.
That's okay.
But we can proceed to next question.
Right. Hold on, Rajiv. What I would say is that always keep in mind no more than 20 hours a week. If you don't do that, that may affect you in the future. Look at that. 94% of you say that it's yes, true. I am not surprised. I am not surprised. Fantastic. You're on the right path there. Rajiv, let's continue.
Thank you. Thank you, audience, for participating in the quiz. That was pretty quick. Okay, the next question is, I think, got to do with something similar to F1, but not F1. Okay. Is studentship the only way to come to US and take a job to settle down? Can student exchange visa, which is J1, which means study plus internship combo in the US work as effectively as F1 or something like that?
A good question, Rajiv, and I think, this is a really good question. And then here's why I think is that more Indian students and others have figured out that F1 is not really the only way to do it. F1, coming on an F1 means a significant amount of financial investments. But in answer to the question, coming to the US as an F1 student, as a path toward career building is not the only way to do it. You can do it by coming on a J1 visa which means that you can incorporate some studies here as well, but you're not going to get a degree from the US. So how do you do it? I mean, there are like 7+ ways to do it. Main things that apply to most people are that you can come here to be a student for 1 semester or for 1 year. You can come here only for an internship or only for a traineeship. Now, it's the explanation will take a long time, but if you are interested in it, post a question and then I can get back to this. So you can come as a non-degree seeking student, as an exchange student for a semester or a year, or you can come here for an internship, or you can come here for a traineeship. And yes, you can move from that into a permanent job setting. If you have questions on that, get back to us.
Thank you. Thank you. That was, I mean, this kind of a question comes from pretty good number of people that they do not want to lock themselves for an F1. They have crossed the F1 limit, but are open to some other alternate way of getting into it. So J1 is the answer. And there are plenty of options, as I too understand students could take. Guys,
yes.
A request to everybody, please mute your videos, or please mute your mics and put your video on the no video mode. Put your Zoom on no video mode, please. This is to the audience. All right, we go to the next question. Actually, that next question goes to the audience. Admin, आपको request करता हूँ, कृपया please put the mid-session poll set number 4 for 30 seconds on screen for everybody. Yes, here it goes. For those, it's a long question, so you have 30 seconds to respond. 30 seconds, my dear friends. I'll repeat the question for you. US employers give emphasis on 6 important attributes to a person. Which is the most important one? I repeat, which is the most important attribute? So your ability to work in a team, that's team spirit, your quantitative skills or analytical skills, problem solving skills, communication skills, entrepreneurship skills, and strong work ethics. 6 important attributes which in the employer's field should exist on you as a human being. Which is the most important one? 30 seconds, or if 30 seconds gets over, admin, I request you please remove the poll. All right. All right, we go to sir. While the answers are getting consolidated by admin and they will shortly be displayed, which one do you feel was the rightmost answer on these 6 important areas? Ability to work.
Well, first thing I'll say is that is the shortest. First thing I'll say is that that's the shortest 30 seconds in my life. And if those in the audience who felt, that's a good thing. I just want you to, audience, keep in mind that we are trying to use time effectively. And then, when we look at the results, first of all, the correct answer is number 3. Folks, number 3, only 22% of you got this right. Well, this is not a quiz with heavy stakes, so don't get me wrong, but I want to point out problem-solving skills in relation to the other 5 are the most important, okay? First thing I want to tell you is that where did this come from? This came from the most recent survey of employers who, in the US, who hire recent graduates, which means they go to colleges and universities or select from those who have just graduated. And they're looking at these top 6. According to our poll, the first one is in ability to work in a team. That would have been a really good answer about 5 years ago or more. But today, the focus is more on problem solving skills because students are already getting the experience to work in a team.
That's right.
So just because number 3 is the right answer doesn't mean the other 5 are not important. They are also important, but number 3 is the most important. Okay, so these attributes that are, the word that we used are same as capabilities that everybody needs to demonstrate, and they're all very important. And put together, these 6, not only these 6, there are more, but at least these 6 will make you more career ready. You have to attain and demonstrate that you have these capabilities to get a job, successfully transition into it, and also build your career. One last point on that is that you can acquire these skills when you are a student. For example, every class that you take will have a syllabus. In the syllabus, these knowledge skills and other skills, knowledge and skills are identified that you're going to gain by completing that class. And so, you are going to be able, if you're doing well in the class, that means you have acquired those skills as well. Some of these skills are also addressed in more than one class, which means they're more important. Pay attention to that. By the way, keep in mind that you acquire these skills even outside of the classes, right? But no matter what, you have to make sure that you list them on your resume and be prepared to give examples of how you acquired these skills during a job interview. So Admin, let's go on to the next poll.
I think that was important. How do you showcase this in your CV? Anyway, we have
Absolutely.
the next question. We have the next question coming up on screen for all you guys, audience. Once again, you have just 30 seconds. I repeat the question for you, for those who are not on Zoom. Now, this is the least important one, a slightly tricky question. Not as tricky, but this is the least important one which is being asked. The US employers will give emphasis on certain personal attributes, which is the least important one out of these 6. Least important one, guys, 30 seconds only. I repeat the question for you. Completed 6 points for you. Completed internship with the organization. Completed internship in the city. Has a high CGPA score, that is academic score. Involved in co-curricular or extracurricular activities. Held leadership positions somewhere, or studied academic subjects that closely match with technical job duties. 6 points. Which is the least important one, guys? Okay.
One of the things that tends to happen is that students have criticized me for giving very tricky questions on their exam. And audience, I will admit, this is my question.
In fact, just when the results are getting compiled, I should say the result of the previous question poll was more looking like students who are hardworking should excel in the US, which is like जिसने जो सबसे ज्यादा कामयाब होना चाहता है उसको struggle करना चाहिए. Hardworking is good enough, but problem solving attitude is better.
Yeah, let's find some correlations here,
Yes.
So it's a good thing. So let's get the results. Oh, look at that. We have results available. Oh my God, which one is the which one is the least important?
Least important one.
We got some really smart people in the audience. Not that I expected anything different, but I think you have hit upon this, that on the 6 items that were listed in your question, having a high CGPA, cumulative grade point average, is the least important in comparison with the others. Right? And so in the list of 6, which one is least? So that was really the question. I mean, internship is definitely important. We said it's very high important, but it doesn't mean that these other things are not important. Held leadership positions, that's important too. Right. And so, but the point is that, if 26% felt that high GPA, CGPA is least important, it also means 34% of the respondents felt that that's more important. Okay. But that's really not the case. We tend to focus more on marks and GPA and those things. They're very important. If you don't have a good enough GPA, you won't even get a job interview. Forget about that. Okay. But looking at these other things, look at, you can see that there is a high level of soft skills that are expected to not only to get you a job, but also for you to build your career, to grow in your career. So my advice to you is to find ways to get involved on your campus even if it is in your department, even if it is in the School of Engineering, College of Engineering, whatever it is, right? And now, but keep in mind, you always want to balance out how much time commitment you're making. Both are important. That's really the key purpose behind having this question. Yeah, I, for one, I was able to not only have a high CGPA, I pat myself on the back for that, but I was also be able to do things that were not really common for international students. You want to know more, put in a question, okay? Otherwise, I just don't want to say more about myself here, but to really point out that hard skills, knowledge-based skills are important. Soft skills are extremely important too, okay? So post a question if you want me to say more on this.
All right, sir.
Rajiv.
Good. Thank you, audience, for participating quickly, and thank you, admin, for giving quick analysis of this. We go to the next question, sir. This question comes directly to you, not to the audience this time. Getting the work visa and looking for a sponsor is a big challenge in the US. How critical is that, sir? How important is that?
Okay, nothing new here.
For a sponsor.
Nothing new here. This has been a challenge for the last 25, 30 years that I've known of, and it remains a challenge. But the most important thing to keep in mind is that it is less of a challenge today. So when you look at job advertisements, what you may find is that some of them will say that applicants must be eligible to work in the United States. Keep in mind, as a student who is going to be on an OPT, optional practical training that you can get after graduation, you are eligible to work in the United States. That is a question that throws many students off, and they may answer no, but you are eligible.
Yeah, you're right.
But also, when you read the job ads, they may say that some employers will say work visas will not be sponsored. What that means is that they're not going to be willing to sponsor you for an H-1B visa. If you see this in a job ad, think twice before applying. But the good news is that it is a general trend. More companies, big companies and even medium-sized companies are open to increasing their hiring of international students in more numbers than in the past. And that's a good thing. Rajiv.
Connected question comes on this. Is a recent change in the federal policy for H-1B? Does it affect the work visa holders?
Well, here's an answer to that is, currently no new H-1B visas are going to be issued for the rest of this calendar year. Who does this affect? Only those who are in the country and find that their process is delayed. Backlogs will be addressed soon. But for those who are planning to go to the US for studies and then translate, going on to pursue careers, keep in mind that, you have an advantage that even students from 18 months ago did not. And this is a policy where there is a preference for H-1B visas given to those people who have completed a course, earned a degree in the United States. This is good news for international students who are already in the US and who are going to want to come to the US. So this is a really positive sign. Preference is given if you get a US degree. That was not there 18 months ago or even a year ago.
एक connected question है जो कुछ students पूछना चाहते हैं सर आपके लिए. Is there any bias applied for a race or the country in jobs when they apply for it?
Let me tell you, here's a direct answer. No, there isn't. HR departments, human resources departments have to go a fine line and enforce federal regulations that prevent bias. But always keep in mind that a company can make decisions on hiring based upon their previous experience when they have hired international students or recent graduates. Their experience may have been positive, their experience have been negative. But for those from India, is something to think about. Generally speaking, the bias for those from India is positive. rather than negative. So
That should
let's
make us
not
happy.
change that perception.
Good, great. And that should make us happy, all those who are attending this forum in the Indian
Absolutely.
subcontinent. Thank you, thank you. The next critical question is, and this is something which people do very commonly in India, about job hopping. They leave one job, they get into another one, and another one, and another one. They do that quite frequently. So is job hopping possible? Is it a challenge, or it's easy? Or what should the students do in the US after they've completed the program, got into some job, and then what? Should they continue with the job hopping policy as they do it in India, or no?
A job hopping happens more often than not. My personal view of it is that that's not a good thing. But I'm not here to share my personal views only. But let me tell you this: switching jobs while you are on an OPT, optional practical training after graduation, or if you have an H-1B visa, is easy to do. For the OPT, all you have to do is inform your university that you have a new job. They will enter that into the CV system after verifying your documents. Remember, no approvals, only notification. You have to tell them that. H-1B visas, different matter, because they're employer specific. You can switch jobs, but your new employer will have to apply for a new H-1B for you.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, this has become more common, but also keep in mind that if you keep changing jobs every year or less, you run the risk of not getting your H-1B approved. Be careful, is my advice.
So not always
Rajiv.
encouraging to get into
I
job
don't
hopping.
encourage it that much, but I can see why it can be needed. So be very judicious, be very careful in doing such a thing.
Good, great. Now we come to the main question, the hot topic today on the spotlight today is big pandemic question, I should say. How can I be better prepared? So we covered this question from a study perspective last session, sir. Now here is a job and career perspective. How can I be better prepared? If we have to face the pandemic situation 6 months, 3 months, or maybe 1 year down the line, we are still not got out of it, and we still have the similar or maybe worsen or close to this situation today. How should I be better prepared as a student who's undergoing a program or would be completing a program in some time from now?
Well, the pandemic question is an important one. Yesterday's data suggests that, at least in the last 2 days, there have been 60 to 70,000 new cases of COVID-19 in the US. How does this compare from 2 months ago? 2 months ago, it was only 10,000 per day. Now it is 70,000 per day. We lost, lots of jobs were lost in March and in April, right?
Okay.
And that is critical. More importantly, more job loss is anticipated in the next few months, and especially in what we call white collar jobs, right? White collar jobs are, think about it as office jobs in more general setting, as opposed to shop floor shop floor manufacturing jobs, or maybe jobs in a restaurant and things like that. There are hiring delays and there are freezes in effect in many companies. But it's all not bad news. The good news is that the job market is expected to improve significantly with more hiring, increased hiring very soon by the end of this year, definitely into next year. One thing to keep in mind, job market is going to be more competitive for sure. So what can you do? You have to focus on career readiness. How can you best leverage your knowledge and your skills in relation to finding a job? You have to be better prepared, hard skills and soft skills. You have to protect yourself and your career, basically your future, right? And one thing, very small thing, but a very important detail, how can you be better prepared? You have to know how to perform well on an automated and or live video-based interviews. This has become the norm in the US. You're going to be asked questions by, via video in an automated setting. You have 15 seconds to answer. You have no idea what the question is going to be, and everything is recorded. When a person is interviewing you, more interviews are being conducted online before they decide to bring you to their organization to have face-to-face interviews. So practice in doing that is really very important. Rajiv.
All right. Good. I think that throws in so much of clarity in everybody's mind. Everybody knows that there is a challenge, but can I be better prepared, or how can I be better prepared was the question. So we cannot avoid this. We cannot eliminate the situation. We have to live in the same world, but there's a possibility. I have to face it. How can I insulate myself by being better than somebody else? So I should not be losing a job, or I should get a better job. I don't need to worry about whatever happens in the rest of the world. That's what I can say.
Good summary. Good summary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sir, one more question now. This is coming to, once again, I'm sorry, I'm going back to the visa issues. Somebody has asked a question. The visa cycles, as I said in the beginning, generally people go to the US or to any foreign location to study. It's not just to study, it's to settle out there. So what is the visa cycle time, or visa process time, I should say, from a study point of time to citizenship? So the process, the wait times, you want to give some 30 seconds to this, sir?
Yeah, simple process. Steps are very simple. Student, which means you're an F1, you're an OPT covered by your F1. From OPT, you move to H1, H1B, right? From H1B to green card. And then if you so choose, from green card to citizenship. Each step has its own process and timeline. Wait times, processing times will increase at the H1B levels, goes to 6 to 18 months sometimes, and definitely at the citizenship level. Also depends on where you are geographically placed in the closest service center. Some have more applications to process, some have less. But the steps are very simple. They have not changed a whole lot. They're very viable and they work very well.
Great. Okay. Now there's a critical question which is coming up here. Well, we've all heard that there is something called as job insurance or job loss insurance in the US. How does the law protect those who've lost their jobs? If I lose my job, does the law protect me? And what should I do? What is an alternative there?
Rajiv, what I do want to point out that this is more of an immigration lawyer question, and I am not an immigration lawyer. I have some knowledge, but not a whole lot. I am definitely not qualified to give a definitive answer. Okay, so audience, please keep that in mind. So let's say that you are in an OPT, optional practical training, which is for at least 12 months, right? And then, you lose your job. You have at least 90 days of protection of unemployment before you have to leave the country or find another job. During that time, you're not going to get any benefits on the federal government. Okay. If you're on an H-1B, that amount of time you can stay legally in the US is a little bit different, right? It depends on what's on your I-94. Here we get into technicalities. Let's just say that you're no more than 60 days. Okay. But nevertheless, you're not going to get any benefits either when you're on an H-1B. That is financial benefits because you lost your job. You only get financial benefits, unemployment benefits when you have a green card. And you're not a citizen, you have a green card, you get unemployment benefits. Do not count on unemployment benefits, money from the government whatsoever. You just pray that you have enough time and you're able to find a job within the time that is given to you while you're still lawfully staying in the US.
Good. And find a sponsor too.
Of course, to find a sponsor. Yeah.
All right, guys, once again, we come back to you. This is the last poll question, which will be displayed on your screen. This is about opportunities. Short question. You got 15 seconds to respond. If you have done bachelor's in your home country, which could be India, Bangladesh, Nepal, wherever you're coming from, what should I progress with in USA once I go in there? So should you do master's in the same discipline, master's in a different discipline, or an MBA? Repeat, what should be your next progressive course be if you have done in your home country? Masters in same discipline, different discipline, or MBA? Fifteen seconds only. Okay, the poll is off.
This is, you know,
Sir,
this
while
is
Dr.
definitely,
Ravi, this is actually this was Dr. Ravi, this was a study-related question. We brought it here for a reason of a jobs platform because this is a common question that is asked by many students. Your views to this answer, sir? Can you explain
it's a
how?
very relevant question, you know, but it's, you know, we can talk about this for half hour. We don't have that time. So whether or not you continue in the same field of study or you change is really a matter of personal preference.
Okay.
But that personal preference has to be based upon many considerations. Considerations of what you can do after the degree and how you can build your career. Keep in mind, master's degrees are meant to be specialized degrees. If you look at the title of a course, master's course in the US, it might not say a whole lot about the specialization. So you have to dig deeper to make sure that the course that you choose, whatever kind, will give you the total knowledge and the skills that you need in order for you to be successful as you see it. Okay. And not only that, you have to convince yourself and convince others, including visa people, to make sure that, you know, you're making the right kind of choice. What you should not do is something that I can say. Avoid a very general master's degree in any field, including engineering, computer science, whatever it is. And very general and generic degrees like the MBA with no specialization, because job prospects might not be very good. There are more people who are doing a generic MBA, a general MBA, general engineering degrees who are not hireable, and even they are domestic US students. So you have to find a way to differentiate yourself through greater specialization and or higher level of other skills that are being asked for. Rajiv.
So his decision can actually affect his admission or visa or jobs, right? Here is the poll results.
Well, you know, not so much on the admission, but definitely on the visa and more definitely on the job scene. So, you know, I mean,
screen, sir.
Yeah, the poll results really, what should you do? Well, you know, masters in the same discipline. I'm not surprised. Well, you know, partly because there is a psychological comfort factor. I did this in India. This is what I'm going to continue to study anywhere, right? In the US or anywhere else.
Yes, right.
And that is very common. And this is what I have to ask my students, you know, I was a director of a graduate program, master's program. I've asked students, why are you doing this? And I say that, you know, this is your default option and you're pursuing. Is that true? And, you know, just like our survey results, most of them say yes. So it's a preference, but is it a good one? That is what you have to evaluate for yourself. And if you don't find an answer for yourself, you seek help. I'm sure TASA Asia should provide some help on that.
We provide a lot of assistance on that through our counseling.
Good, good.
All right.
What else we have?
That is a very critical question. Sir, one last question. This is coming up in the series. We figured out sometime in the past, the previous discussion and today too. In fact, most students who come, they know IT. I'll talk about one discipline. IT is seen as the most envied career in the US. Is that really true? But if I'm not in the IT field, which other careers or jobs have foreseen opportunities over the next 3 to 5 years? Non-IT students, this is going towards IT. No explanation required. Everybody knows US is the best country probably for IT students for jobs.
Well, you know, there's this feeling that IT is taking over everything. Well, you know, simply because the discipline of IT, broadly put, allows many companies to commercialize technologies and services that really don't exist. Okay, that feeling is true, right? More job increases in the IT field. Okay, so when you think about the IT field, you're mainly looking at data and technology and their applications. So, for example, if you think about getting a finance degree at the master's level, can you specialize in financial data analytics or financial technology? There are more jobs in these two subfields in finance than just getting a general finance degree. Okay. Also, you may want to get a master's degree in mathematics. Master's degree in mathematics these days, there are specializations in data analytics. So, you find data analytics in business, you find data analytics in IT, but you also are finding it in mathematics. Main thing to really keep in mind is that which of the new job fields, even if they're IT related, are open to new graduates. That is the key. You are going to graduate with a US degree, which puts you in a different group from those who have more job experience in the US. Demand and opportunities may be really very high for people with more job experience, but not necessarily for new graduates. Advice generally is that try to incorporate as many IT classes, how many ever possible, if the course you are studying does not really relate to IT in a central way.
So
Rajiv.
what you're trying to say is probably bring in an IT flavor in whatever you're doing, and there would be
Sure.
options available, like you said, mathematics or finance or anything
Sure.
like that. You
Yeah,
bring in
let
that
me tell
flavor
you,
and
if you're
you'll be
going to
better
get,
equipped.
let me tell you this, if you're going to get a master's degree in history, you can still incorporate an IT element. Right? If you have a question on that, you write to me, I'll tell you more about it. So there is no field of study that is really been immune from influence of IT. So how best can you take those classes that are needed for you to be stronger as a job applicant in the future? And that's something that you want to really focus on.
Brilliant.
Rajiv.
All right. I think that was it for all for today. The question set was a ready question set to you. We already asked all of you, but audience, we are concluding the session today. But if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box of Facebook, Messenger, uh, or Zoom itself. We'll try taking them. If it is generic in nature. Do not ask any specific personal questions, please.
So Rajiv, I have time today. Let's take a couple of questions. I'm sure we can make time for our audience who sat through 1 hour. So let's answer some questions. Pick one, pick some.
You're asking me questions?
No. Pick some from the audience that have been submitted.
Oh, yes. By the way, till the time the audience is giving some questions and it is getting compiled, I would like to, mention this to the audience. That what is the Saturday evening talks all about, ladies and gentlemen? We started these sessions on the topics that are relevant to students, parents, and anyone else with similar interests. The spotlight is always on the students, directly, indirectly. Students generally go to Google to have their answers, to get their answers when they're confused or have some concerns, and maybe parents too sometimes, and probably their teachers and professors. So here we are. We conduct these sessions on various different topics every Saturday. And the hope is to touch upon a subject which is very common, which is like burning hot in the minds of students. Let me know, admin, if there are questions coming up or if we have answered everything. There are questions which are coming up privately, specifically, to me about specific programs like biotechnology and architecture, etc. Frankly, I can take, but I do not want to take questions like this because this is what suits you. We have been propagating last few sessions that we do not know what exactly is suiting you. So what would be the next best option for you to upscale yourself? We won't be able to handle this kind of question here unless it is generic in nature. Well, there's one general question come up. I must take it, Dr. Ravi. This could be for you. Do you think that besides improvement in English, should there be anything else that they could be focusing on to learn more languages?
Well, depending on where you're going, languages can always be helpful. If you have proficiency in other languages, all of a sudden you have more opportunities that you can pursue than otherwise, especially when it comes to MNCs, multinational companies. Right, so for example, I have some colleagues who are in Chile, or Chile, as we might say, in Latin America. And they have always asked, can we get some Indians who can also speak Spanish, especially in certain areas, right? And that's one of the difficulties that Chilean companies are finding, and maybe even Latin American companies are finding. So language acquisition is always a good thing. When you study language, it's not only knowing how you're going to speak or how you're going to write, but the language is never really differentiated from culture. So through language, you're getting an understanding of culture, and that is equally important.
All right, especially considering the US and south of US is where the South America starts, and which is what speaks only Portuguese or Spanish. So it will be a good idea for students to master their skills on Spanish and Portuguese if they really want to make some sense in that region.
Absolutely, learning languages makes life richer. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yes, they'll open up many other avenues for roaming around,
Sure.
culture, and holidays. why ignore that?
Absolutely, why not? Why not? All right, do we have any more?
I think we consolidate at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the
All right,
opportunity. Thanks
thank
to
you,
the
Dr. Ravi,
audience.
thank you, Dr. Ravi, for being on panel this Saturday. It was really nice having you on panel for 2 Saturdays successively. Very insightful session that we have been having. We'd love to have you again sometime in the future. Thanks once again, and have a good day, sir. Thanks, audience, for being with us. We'll see you next week, same day, same time, 25th July at 7:30 p.m. with one more interesting subject of interest, and that will be, as you can see on your screens too, visioneering for success. And our guest next week will be Miss Kalyani Kamble. Thanks once again. Take good care of yourself and use your time to enhance your academic skills. Thank you, and goodbye. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.